Recording in progress.
Got it.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm not
No, it's
laughing at you. I'm just laughing.
laughing with me. Yeah, no, I am so out of practice in my vocal training, and so I'm working on it, and I'm kind of happy with this right here. So I'm trying to keep this going, whatever I'm doing right now. So, hello
It sounds
everybody.
great.
Yeah, thank you. It's once it clicks, it's great, but it's hard to get it to click. So, vocal training, fun. Um, Hello, everybody. Welcome to Transcending Humanity. This is episode 27, I think. Last week was just a little short one or something, but I still counted that as an episode. I'm Vanessa. I'm joined by Rachel. You know us both from previous episodes of this show, I would imagine.
I hope so.
I would hope so too. Yeah. I mean, otherwise, go back and listen to that shit. What are you doing here? You still have 26 episodes to catch up on, which I know is a tall ask. You can watch it on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. You can see our smiling faces. Unless you're watching this on YouTube right now, then did you know that we have a podcast? We do both. Quick news on the show. I am changing the format a little bit again. We're going to be doing it. It's bi-weekly. That's what, yeah, every two weeks, bi-weekly. We're going to be recording every 2 weeks instead of every week, because honestly, I think most of the hosts are getting burnt out, and yeah, so am I. Once I find a job, I think I'll be less burnt out, but fuck this shit. It's getting old. So, yeah, we're going to be doing that.
Yeah.
If you'd like the show, please support us on Patreon. You can support us on Patreon or through Buzzsprout. Both are accessible through our website, transcendinghumanity.com, for the price, less than the price of a Starbucks coffee, because my Starbucks coffees cost $6.15. And so if you can chip in, fuck, I sound like a politician, which I guess I am.
Well, I mean, you are
now.
running for office.
I am.
So
Oh, fuck. I don't want to be I don't want to
that's
sound
okay,
like a
because I
politician.
am also an elected official.
There
And
you go.
these
You
are the
are.
faces that we need in politics. And that's not what
Exactly.
we're talking about today, but also in
No,
the
it's
United
important.
States, election day is coming up. So please vote. It's a
Please
big
vote.
deal.
Please vote blue.
Yep.
Don't vote for the fascists, please. But I'm pretty much guessing that the people that vote for fascists aren't listening to this show, because we are pretty liberal around here. But
Right.
who
Or
knows?
maybe the people that listen to this show are willing to have a nuanced discussion about how sometimes the left also um, isn't great for
No,
people. And
the
we can talk about that and not have people absolutely 100% lose their minds.
Yeah. In my
Right.
opinion, both sides suck in their own special ways. So,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I mean. I'm running as a Democrat. I'd rather not run as a Democrat, but I'm just playing by the rules, because I can take the Democratic Party's money when I run. So rather than go
I
as an
think that's a
independent,
big deal.
it is. Right now, they're not giving me the
Yeah.
time of day, but big fucking surprise. But once I get on the news, then they'll give me a time
Well,
of day.
Ryder, when you get past the primary, or do you,
Yeah. Well, I have to get
and now I'm
on the.
self-owning. I haven't actually listened to the episode yet. Do
Oh,
you
you're
have a
fine.
primary?
Yeah, we do. And it's a little bit
Okay.
earlier than usual because of the presidential primary. So it's in March. So I have to have all my signatures in by December 20th to get on the ballot.
Merry
Um,
Christmas.
yeah. So I'm hoping to do that. I'm at like 24 right now, which really isn't too bad for a
Mm-mm.
red ass area here, because I can't go door to door knocking. I'll get shot. But no one wants a big tranny on their doorstep around here. So, well, maybe somebody does. But I forget where it was. Oh yeah, donate to the show, please. $5 a month,
Yeah.
$10 a month, whatever. If you donate through Buzzsprout, then it actually gets taken off of our Buzzsprout invoice, which is kind of nice. And then anything left over, we get. And then Patreon, I just withdraw. But yeah, I love doing the show, but making so little money, it's a strain. So anything that people can help, I would love it. So Rachel, what's been going on with
Yeah.
you? Anything fun?
Um, Gosh, I wish I could say yes, but Yeah, I was about to say Hanson family has been on the struggle bus a little bit lately, but really the struggle is the lack of bus. Um so we're very fortunate to be, until several weeks ago, to have been a two-car family.
Hmm.
And now we're a one-car family because the
Oh,
transmission is pooping out on one of our vehicles.
oh,
Uh
that's expensive.
yeah. Um and that's been a journey, right? We were originally quoted 12K to fix it.
Just get a
Uh-huh.
new damn car.
Well, I was kind of what
Mhm.
we kind of thought about it. We went, okay, like if we're financing either way, uh like what does it look like to finance something new,
Mhm.
or new to us?
You
Like,
can
let's,
finance a $12,000 car, you know?
well, in our area, a 12,000 car would, we would be buying the exact same problems that we'd be trying
Mhm.
to
True,
ditch.
true.
And so and there's three kids in the family, so we can't just buy a tiny
Yeah,
car. Um and they very generously negotiated it down to $9,000, which might as well still be a million.
yeah, but where'd that $3,000
Uh,
go? They were just trying to rip you off that, apparently.
it had something to do with the warranty on the
Oh,
transmission. Um, and so we still were like, yeah, no thanks. We found another place to do it for 4,000.
that's quite a bit
That's
better.
still a lot, but
That's
that's
more
a
in line with what you would expect for a transmission repair, though.
right. And it's also a tax return. So
Oh, yeah,
like,
there you go.
so like if it really comes down to it,
Hmm.
well, we'll just wait till February
Free
and then we'll have
money.
two cars again. Right. Free.
Yeah, free money.
We're all paying taxes here. Or
Well,
trying
us poor
trying
folk
to
are
pay
paying taxes.
taxes.
Us poor folk pay taxes.
Right. Um, so that's been an adventure.
Yeah, fuck.
So not fun, but a
No,
lot happening
yeah,
with
yeah.
the cars.
You have to like schedule time with the car.
I mean,
That's
pretty
the
much, right? Like
worst.
this is right. It really does feel like being a teenager, right? Where you're like,
Can I borrow the
Mom,
car,
Dad, can I use
please?
the car? Only, right, like we're the parents and we're going, hey, so when are you in the office this week? When are you in the office this week? Are we gonna have to reschedule meetings because we've only got the one car?
Hmm. And then like if there's an emergency or something, I mean, people used to only have one car per family, but times were a lot slower then, so I think shit's
Right.
different now. It's really everybody has to have their own vehicular thingy, and
Well,
ugh,
I mean, going back to the money, if employers wanted to pay a living wage for a family to just live on one income,
mhm.
um, I love my job. I love what I do, but I would also very gladly trade that all in. And until the kids are older, be a stay-at-home mom. So
Mhm.
we wouldn't have to juggle with all the logistics and the childcare and the
Childcare is it's intense. It's intense.
yeah.
I just have the one. I don't know how you people with multiples do it. I mean, are you just that crazy now? Is
Oh,
it just
I'm
like baked in?
I'm just bananas. Yeah.
Ugh,
Like
I don't get it. I really don't.
um yeah, well, and I mean, and in some ways, and this is I think where the real right kind of losing your marble stuff comes in. In some ways, I'm very grateful for the pandemic because pre-pandemic there was no like, oh, you're having a hard time finding childcare? Well, that's too bad. You can't work from home with your kids at home.
Yeah,
Everybody knows you can't do your job. Well, it turns out that you totally can do that.
yeah. There are very few office jobs that can't be done from home. So,
Right. And that also, like, are you actually nose to the grindstone for 8 hours a day? No, you can stop
No,
and you can get them a snack, or you can read a story or change the cartoon.
it's just
And the
like,
work is still going to happen.
yeah, well,
It's going to get done.
it's just like working in the office. I mean, half the time people are just shooting the shit. So
Hmm.
it's now you're
That's
just
pretty,
shooting the
that's what
shit with
I'm doing
family. Yeah.
most of the time in the office.
Yeah. And the whole, 8-hour workday, 5 days a week is, I mean, from what I understand, it's been proven that BBS. So um because there's certain chunks of the day that people just don't get anything done, so whatever. But
Right.
I'm not a I'm not an expert in that, but perhaps I should be. I don't know. Maybe that's another platform I can run on. Good luck getting that through in Ohio.
I
My
mean, right, 4-day work week.
hmm It'd be nice. I'm already gonna piss off the conservatives with my subsidized childcare platform, but whatever. Anything else? Any good news? Anything that has you excited?
Um, so I do have one exciting thing, and I forgot, so thank you for asking. Um, I think I've talked on the show before about this magazine that I'm starting,
I think so,
and we
yeah.
launched on
Oh, really?
October 1st.
Yay.
Um, and so that's been really so it's a magazine about women in podcasting.
Hmm.
Um, featuring, and I so this is important, featuring women,
Hmm.
right? Because it's true everywhere, but in podcasting, right? There's a lot of guys.
They are.
There's a lot of guys. Um, and when people talk about like wishing that there was more diversity, I mean, and just gender diversity, right? Like in
Yeah.
podcasting, right? There's a bunch of women, right? Like the ones in this Zoom room who are
Hmm.
like, hey, guys,
We're
like
here.
here. And like it turns out that we kind of are amazing at this.
Hmm.
And if you're not going to feature us, well, then we're going to feature ourselves.
Exactly.
So,
Have you lined up Lauren Lapkus yet? Because she's like she's the queen all of uh celebrity podcast guests. So you have to get Lauren Lapkus on board somehow.
yeah, that
She
would be,
she's just like she guests on all
yeah,
the podcasts I listen to practically. Like, oh, it's
yeah.
Lauren Lapkus. Hi. So
So
whatever.
this is confusing. This has thrown a lot of people off because it's not a podcast, it's a magazine
Hmm.
about podcasting. So
Yeah,
she might have to ask her to write an article.
you should. Because I mean she's like co-host of a lot of podcasts as well, but she's on tons of them. So her experiences with podcasting has to be pretty interesting
I bet.
for an article, an interview, or something. So I have no idea how to get a hold of her, but you know, who knows? But yeah,
I think having been in podcasting for a while, I've gotten pretty good at creeping on people and figuring out how to email them. So,
yeah, I can imagine. That's how you get your interviews. So
yeah, pretty much.
bypass the agents and producers and all that stuff.
Yeah, or try to.
Yeah, try to. Some are pretty well locked down, but
Yeah.
my slushy is melting. Just stir it up. You can wonder
Uh,
what I'm doing over here. So I got rated by a hate group on
yeah.
Facebook last night. That was fun.
Well, really?
Yeah.
That is exciting.
Yeah. It's like, well, for me, it's good practice for when I run for office too. So, but I mean, for the most part, they're just not creative. It's like,
I
oh,
know.
dude, you're a bro, dude, hey, dude, hey, bro, hey, dude, hey. I'm like, no,
Right.
it's,
That's
but
not, yeah.
yeah. And it was like I had to report some of them for threats. A lot of them were telling me
Oh.
to unalive myself, and
Ugh.
um,
Ugh.
there were some surprisingly creative memes, um, which I kind of have to give props for
I mean,
because those are the
points
ones that,
for creativity, but also
yeah,
negative points for
for being an asshole,
violence.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like for the most part, it's just like you're a man, da 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 da. It's like whatever. It's like this is the same regurgitated stuff you hear over and over again. It's just more annoying than anything because I just have to go through and block so many people. So And I think I
Right.
wound up taking down a couple posts just because it's just like, no, not worth it. But people have way too much fucking time on their hands, and there
Right.
are a lot of the LGB without the T uh, crowd on there, and because the post in question
Yeah.
was I recently joined Her Dating Again, which is it's like a lesbian
Mhm.
queer dating app. And I
Cool.
just posted saying there's a lot of cishet white guys on here. And
Oh
that's
no.
that's how it got captured by an hate group. They're like, well, you're a dude, you know. My tits and pussy say otherwise. So yeah.
Right.
But
Your brain also.
yeah, my brain. It's but
Even like pre-surgery, right? Like
even pre-surgery,
your
even my entire
brain
life.
wins.
But I
Yeah.
mean, when people are that far gone, the chances are the odds of actually swaying them is just non-existent, really. I mean, some people, when I went and saw Father Nathan Monk in person a few weeks ago,
Mm.
he actually tries to sway people, and he said he has like a 14% success rate or something like that. But I don't feed the trolls. And that's one thing I'm going to do in my campaign is because I know I'm going to get them. I'm just going to ask my followers just don't even respond to them because all it's going to do is upset you and empower them. But holy shit, did they come fast and in droves? It was like, whoa, this is happening. But then there's another
Right.
Facebook page that is dedicated to finding people like me,
Yeah.
whose posts have been shared in hate groups on Facebook, and tag you to let you know, hey, your post has been shared in a hate group. You might want to change your privacy settings or take it down. So right on to
Uh, oh,
that whoever that
okay.
person is, because it was nice.
Okay.
Because I
My
didn't.
brain was going the other way. So I'm glad that you
Oh
added it was nice
no, it,
qualifier.
it's just someone just being a good human. So because I didn't know what group it had been shared to, so then I looked at the post and I saw that it had been shared
Got
12
it.
times. I'm like, ah, shit. Okay, I'm just locking this down. But yeah, it was. It'll really if any of those people are listening to this right now. It'll really piss you off to know that when I was deleting and blocking and reporting, I was doing it while dilating, and dilating is where I'm putting my thing inside my thing. So um, a lot of them were talking about like post-op like maggots and stuff coming out from down there. Like there's multiple ways you can get vaginoplasties. Mine was the
Yeah.
penile inversion. There's another one where they use part of the colon so it can actually self-lubricate, but that's not the kind I got. Apparently they're dangerous, but they're like there must be some rumor or something where someone had maggots coming out of them or something because like a good chunk of the comments were like talking about maggots and memes about maggots and stuff. I'm like, ew, these people are uh, yeah. So if
People
you
are
my
yeah.
advice for anybody listening, if you see yourself suddenly getting hate bombed on social media, you can just change the privacy on your posts to friends only, and that'll wipe it out. But or if you just don't even want to look at it, just delete it. That's what I wound up doing. There were so many. I probably
Mm.
blocked 150 people. So I'm just like, no, I'm done. I just deleted the post. They're still on Instagram, but Facebook's a cesspool of hive of scum and villainy. But, so yeah, that's me.
uh,
Um, but
but it's also kind of a nice segue into our topic tonight.
exactly.
Uh,
Thank you, Rachel.
it's what I'm here for. Um, because what we had discussed talking about was how language and like the language that we natively speak
Mhm.
it kind of influences our perceptions of gender. Um,
Yeah.
and right, like when you're talking about right, like all these guys who apparently have nothing better to do with their time than be jerks to people on the internet. Um,
Guys and girls. It was a mix of both, surprisingly.
Actually, I appreciate knowing that because, right, like English, the language
Mhm.
that we are all speaking right now, is so male centric, right?
It
Male
is.
is the default
Mhm.
that we get really freaked out, like collectively, when that notion of male first gets challenged.
Yeah.
Um, but it's because, like, in English, it's not so much that we have, right, like nouns and verbs that are masculine or feminine, like,
Mhm.
Spanish or French or a lot of other Latin languages. But male is the default,
Mhm.
right? That even for words that are not gendered, like doctor, for example.
Automatically think male.
Right, exactly.
I've trained my brain to think female, but that's took training. So
Right. Like it's hard work
it is.
to make that change.
Mhm. A
Um,
teacher, you think woman.
right. But professor,
Male.
it's a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nurse, women.
Mm-hmm. But right, like none of those words inherently represent a gender, but
Mm-mm.
we have been so steeped in this social idea, uh, that how we think about gender like it's just is so influenced
Mhm.
by it. Um, and people don't like to be challenged.
No.
Oh, and
Mm-mm.
like in the United States, our whole public school system is basically set up to, in most cases, right, to avoid critical thinking.
Yeah.
Uh, so a lot of people aren't going, oh, wait, what? Why do I think of a male when I think doctor?
Mhm.
Like, even a question as basic as that is not one that is encouraged to be asked.
No,
And
but
so
it
then
should
when
be.
somebody, oh yeah, 100%. Um, although I will, uh, this is always kind of like my go-to the kids are all right story, and it's a little old now, but um
Mm,
I want to
mm,
say like 10 or so years ago, um I was a tutor for a college readiness program for a Minneapolis public schools, and I would always do some kind of like a riddle
mhm,
to warm up brains before we'd start with the tutoring. um and there was a riddle I did once that now I'm gonna bomb it because I haven't told the riddle in such a long time. Um, but it was something like, a kid was in a some kind of an accident, and his father took him to the hospital. Child needed surgery, and the surgeon said, "I can't operate on this child. He's my son. Like, so what's the deal here?" And like right away, the kids were like, well, obviously, either this kid has two dads or his mom is a surgeon.
mhm.
And I was like, oh, I was expecting this to be more of a discussion, but they were already, no,
They're
these little sixth
they're
graders,
so far ahead of us.
right?
It's
I mean, and these guys are all now, all right, if they were in sixth grade, right, they're in their early 20s now.
isn't that crazy?
Right.
Just thinking about
That
that.
freaks me out.
I
Yes.
I worked at an online charter school from 2005 to 2006 with seventh graders, and I mean those kids are all adults now, probably with kids of their own that could be in seventh grade. It's like blows my mind. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's okay. But um, so I think that we maybe, it doesn't feel like it, right? Like when you go onto Facebook or whatever. But uh, maybe this is just because I live near Minneapolis, but I always see Minneapolis as being like, look at all the terrible things that are happening in Minneapolis. And like everybody there is obviously awful. The police maybe are awful, But the people living in Minneapolis,
The people are okay.
right? Like, because by the way, I mean, and now going off on police, the people who serve on the police force in Minneapolis don't live in Minneapolis
Hmm,
for the
interesting.
most part. They live in the
Interesting.
suburbs. Um, so like the people that live there, they're awesome.
Hmm. They're just cold.
Yeah. Um, so I feel like, right, like if these young people, now adults, right, and as sixth graders are growing, well, yeah, what's the big deal? The kid either has two dads or his mom is a surgeon.
Mhm.
This isn't a riddle at all. Right? Like I would hope that we'll start to see a few changes,
I
but sorry, go ahead.
no, I'm just I think we won't. Go ahead.
Um, but I think that we still kind of need to work to create this culture of safety to be asking these kinds of questions,
Hmm.
right? Um, because we are so steeped in it as English speakers. Um, right? Like we might not say that a cup of coffee is masculine or feminine as they would in French.
Hmm. True.
But that doesn't mean that we're not assigning gender to things in a way that makes no sense and that doesn't influence in how we perceive people to perform, to do the performative aspect of gender identity.
Hmm. Yeah, like why do so many people call like vehicles girls? So
Well, right. Or you said vehicles, and I immediately thought cars, but it really is
cars,
anything
boats,
motorized,
airplanes,
right?
yeah,
Like,
anything
yeah,
really. So say she's a good old girl, but
right.
I don't know. I
Um,
personalize my stuff.
or or baby. That
Hmm.
was one. Um, I remember being deeply confused by that as a kid. Um, there was like a mechanic next to the public library in the city, one of the cities I grew up in. And so when my mom would take us to the library, I'd be like, Mom, where do they in the window is something like take good care of your baby. And I'm like, that is super obviously a mechanic. So, like, Mom, what are they talking about?
Hmm.
And she went, oh, well, some people call their cars their babies and they take care of them like babies. And I was like, well, that's weird and stupid.
Guilty. That was,
Well, I
but
mean,
yeah,
and
no, it's
now
true.
I don't think there's anything exactly wrong with it, except that then we also refer to them as women.
And then we call women
So
baby
then,
a lot, and
right. And, but so then we're not treating women like competent adults
hmm,
because woman and baby are like right there together in
vicious
our
circle.
brains,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So like they're just I'm just ranting now, but like there's so much work to do because the language that we use is just so much in us
Hmm.
that it's hard to decouple all of that out.
It's so baked in. It's like
Yeah.
there's so many things in our life that are baked in, um uh, like something you find anyone that's read the White Women book. um Racism is so deeply baked into white people, and we don't most of us don't even realize it. And
Mm-hmm.
to the point where I'm confident in saying if you're white, you're racist, whether you know it or not. I have so much in me that's just been baked in. And
Right.
there's so many different things. There's gendering, there's race, there's all these different things that are just they're just trained into us. And I mean, there's no like one particular time that like you can look back and say, oh, this is when I started thinking this way. It's just there,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, because we're surrounded
Right.
by it. And it's It's a very odd part of humanity, I suppose.
Yeah. But one, and so this article will, I think, be in the show notes, but
Hmm.
um one thing that I thought was also kind of an interesting thought exercise for me, uh, was this article very specifically mentioned that one language that's spoken by a lot of people globally that has no gender baked into it, is Mandarin Chinese.
Really?
Uh,
Huh.
because at first I was thinking, like, is there a difference between how people are treated, right? Like in their societies based on the gendered language. Um, and so then I started like really thinking about, right, like the People's Republic of China. How are
Hmm.
they treating people? Well, generally, maybe not awesome,
Yeah.
but kind of everybody is being treated equally terribly.
I mean, that sounds about right.
So, right, like, and that's maybe a pretty bold claim to make, but that to me was kind of an interesting thought exercise, right? Like
Hmm.
how, um, like what does that look like globally based on the language that you speak?
Hmm.
And I don't know the answer to that question,
No, I don't
but
either.
I'll probably be thinking about it for a while.
Yeah. It's strange that Mandarin doesn't have gender,
Yeah.
but does Cantonese. You know, those are only two
Yeah.
China-centric languages that I know of. So my ignorance is showing here, folks. But
I would assume no,
I don't know how similar they are.
since they
So,
have the same, because I would, based on mostly nothing, I would be right, like I would be assuming that they have like the same base
hmm.
language, right? Like, um, well, English is not a great example, but right, like uh Italian, French,
Italian, yeah, like
Spanish,
Romance languages.
right, like Latin based languages,
Hmm.
um, right, like you can kind of understand what people are
Are
saying
saying.
if you speak one of the three. Um, since English is mostly Germanic, our rules make no sense.
No,
But
the English language is so completely fucked up.
right, like we got a little bit of German, and we got a little bit of French, and we got a little bit of Anglo-Saxon. Like,
And none of it makes sense.
nope, none.
Chinese listeners, send us an email to
Right. Let
correct
us
us on
know.
that, please. Yeah. Is Cantonese genderless as well or no? So, um,
Yeah.
thank you.
But
Um,
and then I would kind of wonder if there are other languages in that part of the world that are also um you don't assign gender in the same way, right? Like Korean or Thai.
I would hope so.
Um
I would hope so.
I know some people I could ask about this, but Hmong might be another one.
Mung.
Oh, yeah. So we're just going all over the place in our episode today. So the Hmong people um originally lived in Thailand, but helped the United, not Thailand, I'm sorry, Vietnam, um, helped the United States during the Vietnam War, were then, um, we are super good at doing this in the US. Just ditching the people that help us when the war
Hmm.
is over and we go back home, which is totally what happened to the Hmong. Um, there's a lot of people in like the Twin Cities, Minnesota, took in a lot of Hmong refugees.
Really?
So I almost everybody that I, yeah, so like kind of sent to camps in Laos,
Hmm.
um, post Vietnam War, but a lot of Hmong folks that I know were born in refugee camps in Laos
Hmm.
and came to the US as refugees. But yeah, their culture is just beautiful and amazing. And uh this is totally outside of language, but I've been doing a lot of like crafty stuff lately. Like
Mhm.
if you need something to do with your hands, right? Like crocheting is a, yeah, a good thing to do. But they do a lot of like textile storytelling. So
Mhm.
like quilts that like tell the story of their family over generations and things like that. Like they're very amazing people and culture that um we could have done a lot more to help,
Yeah, America
which
seems to
is
help the wrong
often,
people.
I mean, mm, yeah,
Mm.
we could. I don't know if I want to talk about Gaza, but probably
Mm.
not.
Yeah, that's probably not a can of worms that we want to open, but
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I would be like with the language piece, I would be curious if like if the language is spoken in that part of the world.
mhm.
Um,
Asian listeners,
yeah,
help us out here.
yeah, let
So
us know.
it makes it, we're curious. So help out your basic white chicks.
Yes, please. Or also just tell us to Google, which is probably what I'll be
It's what we probably should do.
doing.
Yeah, it's just like
But
when people ask trans people and stuff, just fucking Google it.
right, right. And I know um my go-to is always like indicate to me that you have done some work, right?
Hmm.
Say, hey, I read this thing and I was really confused by this piece of it.
Hmm.
Okay. I'm
Yeah,
happy to explain that piece of it to you if you have uh
put some legwork
made
in
an
already.
attempt,
Yeah,
right? Like
that's why. Like,
there's
well, when
yeah.
Americans travel to other countries, yeah, if we at least attempt, to learn the language and speak it, it goes a long way.
Oh, it does. Yes, it does.
Because Americans, when in France, you speak French because it's France.
Right. Or, at least
Try.
give it your best attempt.
Oh, so
um,
back to the gender
but
things.
yeah.
A more crude thing that has really come up is how come the word balls has been attributed with strength and masculinity and power, and the word pussy has been attributed with weakness and fragility, when in actuality, balls are the most sensitive things that can't hold up to any pressure, and pussies can take a fucking pounding. How did that happen?
Right. I mean, I'm gonna just go around with some like good old fashioned male fragility
Yeah,
on that one.
yeah.
Um,
Just popped in my head. Sorry.
I mean, well, no, but I mean, for real, right? Like at the beginning of the episode, you were talking about dilation,
Hmm.
right? And you're just casually laying there dilating
Hmm.
and blocking people.
Hmm.
Um, while I have not had that uh the experience of having to dilate following surgery, I have given birth to three children vaginally, and so like dilation is also part of my lived
Hmm.
experience in a completely different fashion, and it sucks.
It's different. It's
Uh,
different.
but also like, yeah, well, you're just because kind of you're just hanging around,
Yeah.
waiting for your body to
I think I need to
do
get a
what you need
visual
it to
aid
do.
for the viewers. The listeners aren't gonna be able to do anything. So keep people company for a second while I go get the visual aid.
All right, all right. I mean, we love a good visual here on Transcending Humanity. Um, but yeah, like when you are, I can't obviously speak to the surgical piece, but um, when you're waiting for your cervix to dilate enough for a baby to actually come out, um, for some people it's pretty quick. For me, We're talking days. So, but like you still gotta do stuff, right? Like you're not gonna not eat or uh like not go to the bathroom or take a walk because in the case of a birth, right? Like walking does speed it up. So there you are. You're just doing the thing, hanging out, blocking haters, making a sandwich. Uh well, things opened up enough to well, I don't know. If you're hungry and tired, a PB&J is usually a pretty safe and easy bet.
Yeah, you're right. It
you
is. And
know,
it has your protein, it has your sugar and your carbs and everything.
right?
Um, I wanted to do a visual aid for the listeners, and the listeners aren't gonna be able to see this. They're gonna be like, the listeners, just watch the YouTube channel, and hit the subscribe button while you're at it. We only have
Right, right. Because
117. We need more.
we need more
We
subscribers so we
do, we
can
do.
monetize this.
But dilation for trans women is very similar how it is for cis women, where post-op, any hole in your body wants to close up, right?
Mhm.
And when you get a vaginoplasty, you have a shiny, fresh new hole, and you don't want it to close up. So they give you a bag full of 4 dilators. There's small, and then medium, medium, then large. I'm just like waving these things around. This is going to get us demonetized. Oh, we're not monetized anyways. Um,
Right. No, YouTube, those aren't dildos. It's
no,
okay.
they're medical tools. Um, so, but
Sorry.
so you have to 3 times a day for 20 minutes at a time. I haven't missed one yet, but they're not always 20 minutes. You lube this thing up. You lay down, you lube this thing up, and you just push it on in there. And you have to keep pushing. For me, I have to get to the second dot here, so that's just barely showing.
Mm.
And right now I have to do 2 different sizes. There's like the small medium and then the medium large. So I start with this for 5 minutes and then switch to this. That's what dilating is. So when I'm talking about dilating, it means I'm sticking these up inside me. So these are my little friends. Hello, friends. This one is the Blue Bomber. This one's the Grinch. My little purple one's my purple pussy poker. And then uh, there's a big orange one, which I just call the No Way, because no way is that going in me. So that's our little tangent.
Yeah. But I mean, but for real, right? Like back to your question, I really it comes down to the patriarchy, right? And
Hmm.
I know that that is right. Like people roll their eyes and they'd be like, yeah, whatever, the patriarchy. But um when you have an entire social system that is set up um for males to dominate, you have a whole language then set up to support that cultural notion.
Hmm.
Um, and so even though we all uh, have men in our lives who um, are not tools, right? Like they're actual decent human beings who aren't bent on domination. Um, it's a lot of work for all of us to get rid of that notion
Hmm.
when the language that we have all been speaking uh since we could speak has that baked into it.
It does. It does. It's just
Yeah.
interesting to think about. It's everywhere. And I think
Right.
for the vast majority of the time, we don't even realize it. Um, so it's interesting to kind of step back and look at the building blocks of language and how it's also changing, and
Right.
it's changing so rapidly too. With the dawn of the internet, really, and the invention of
Mhm.
memes, but it's who knows what it's going to be like in 10, 20 years, you know? So hopefully it'll be a little bit
Right.
more neutral, but I don't know. The patriarchy isn't going to go down without a fight. I'll tell you that much. So fuckers.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, because I mean, I think that we often think about like the patriarchy the same way that white people think about racism, that it's like individual people that have shitty attitudes. And
It's
in
in
some ways, yes, that
some
is
ways, yeah.
it. But also, we're talking about dismantling an entire social system and building a new one.
Yeah,
And
which
like, I mean, right, then you're kind of going into, well, like, yeah, the guy that invented a vehicle, or like the first guy that invented a car, spent most of his life driving a horse and buggy.
mhm,
The person who invented electric lights spent most of their life using
candlelight.
candles,
Yeah.
right? Like, you've got to use what you have while you try to improve it.
Transcend it. I snuck it in.
I'm
Yeah,
glad you
it's
did.
true. It's
Right.
true.
So, like, but you have to be mindful, right? That you
Hmm.
are working to improve what is existing and
And
acknowledge that what exists needs improving.
yeah, and as you said, the kids are all right. Um, I I've seen other people talk about Gen Alpha, but they're gonna come in and just fucking burn shit down. And you know what? Good. It needs to be burned down. So,
Right.
um,
Or I think this is not super apparent, I think, when I'm like in public life, but um I am by nature a pretty angry person and I have a hard time
mhm,
like controlling my temper and all of that. Um my my poor little son, he's 5. Um I was having not that long ago was having a mom moment where I kind of just went, "Can you just wait?" He did not deserve that. Then we talked about it afterwards. But immediately after I completely lost my mind on my poor little guy, he started crying, which he felt comfortable doing,
mhm,
which by 5, we know, right? Like a lot of us know the data.
yeah,
Um, so he felt comfortable crying. He told me that he was sad and angry and a little bit scared that I had lost it.
mhm, good feelings.
Right. Valid feelings based
Hmm.
on how I had acted.
Yeah.
But here we have a little boy who is right now being socialized as a boy in our society
Hmm.
who could immediately name what he was feeling.
Hmm. There are many adults, men that can't do that.
Right. So like the kids are all right, but I'm hoping that some of it is also maybe the parents are doing okay.
I think that's I think that's a
You
lot of it too, because like our generation, you and I are close in age, right? You're in your mid 30s.
Yeah,
I'm saying I'm 42, so we're close enough. We're both millennials.
exactly.
Um, so we were raised by boomers. Gen Z are raised by Gen X. So Gen Z are pretty cool because Gen X are pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then there's millennials. We were all sorts of fucked because we were raised by boomers, and um, our kids are Gen Alpha with a couple
Mm-hmm.
Gen Z, but mainly Gen Alpha.
Mostly alpha.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
a lot of us, I know myself included, and sounds like you, have generational trauma that there's a certain way of raising kids throughout our lives. Like I had this shit beaten out of me as a kid. I was
Oh,
physically, sexually, and emotionally abused growing up, and it is up to us to break that. And I think a lot of millennials grew up in a similar situation, and they're choosing to break that trauma and start fresh. And it's hard. I mean, I have a 3.5 year old who I believe is neurodivergent as well as me. And I struggle. Like, I struggle big time raising him, but I've never
Yeah.
raised a hand to him. I very rarely raise my voice because I can't put that forth into another generation. And people like, you'll hear people say, well, that's just going to make your kids soft. No, it's not. It's
Mm-mm.
making your kids compassionate. And that has nothing to do with being soft. It means that they're aware of things and especially more aware of their feelings.
Right. And I think there's so much power, right, in um empathy for others that is not based in trauma,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, um I had a relatively healthy upbringing, but some mental health challenges in the family. Um, so I'm pretty well, actually now I'm just tired, and so I'm not really good at it anymore because I'm tired, but um
Mm-hmm.
pretty good at like walking on eggshells and anticipating how other people are feeling.
Yeah.
Because I had way too many of those experiences of, can you just wait longer?
Mm-hmm.
Right? That so I'm pretty good at anticipating people's feelings. Um, but that comes from a place of trauma and not always from a place of love.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you there.
You know?
Like, if you ask my kid's other mom, I say sorry constantly because throughout growing up and having been, involved in my family's business and stuff until my late
Yeah.
30s, like I always think that people are mad at me because I was usually some family member was on my case about something or another. So now I'm always just like, sorry, sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm
Right.
sorry.
Like, sorry for existing. I'm
Yeah,
just trying to make a living or
exactly.
whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Um,
parents, don't fuck up your kids.
right. Or,
It's
just do your best.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Like,
I
because that's
listen,
really all we could do.
yeah. I listened to a podcast called The Casual Criminalist. If you don't listen to it, you should. Simon Whistler's awesome. But a recurring theme on it, um, of the serial killers on his show is almost every single one was brought up in an extremely abusive home. So
Yeah.
there's nurture and nature involved in that kind of shit. So you kind of have to wonder if some of those people were raised in homes that actually cared about them, how things would be different.
Yeah. I think that I am out of steam.
Yeah, I think I am too. So it's
So maybe just we'll give another reminder that if you want to support the show,
yes,
um, a free way to do that is to subscribe to YouTube,
share, like,
share an episode, all that. Send us an email. We
rate
would
us
love to
on uh
wherever you rate your podcasts.
Yeah, Apple Music and
Like,
Spotify, I think the ones that let you do that.
yeah. And if you have some money, you can support us on Patreon or Buzzsprout.
Mhm. Nice and easy.
Yeah.
And it just goes to just make things smoother around here. So yeah.
Right. Because capitalism is another construct of the patriarchy. And there's one that we're not going to be decoupling anytime soon. So we need to
No.
make a living.
Yeah, yeah, we don't want to, especially someone being unemployed. Don't you start barking. This being unemployed and I'm trying to find an employer. So I gotta keep my nose brown for now. So thank you again, everyone, for listening. We appreciate you. We'll put that way. Though,
Yes.
actually, no, I hate that phrase. Like when people come and say, "I appreciate you," no, thank you. We love
Yeah.
you for supporting us and for being awesome people. again, we will be back in 2 weeks, no longer every week.
Right.
And per usual, I have no idea what we're going to be talking about. So, yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for
So
listening.
stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. Bye.
Bye.